welcome to Australia.
Thanks a lot.
Congratulations to you and your board on the development of your new standard, Revolutionising reporting. Could you just outline briefly the main areas that you'd like to highlight to our members, please?
Well, maybe the best summary really is, in the past, users of audit reports would hardly read anything from the auditor, except the overall conclusion, what we call the audit opinion.
Yeah.
Which is like a traffic light. It's usually green, sometimes orange, red. Nowadays, in the future, they will read much more directly from the auditor about what we call key audit matters that the auditor encountered in the audit. So it's about significant risks, significant judgments, where the auditor shares with the readers, well, these were the most significant ones and this is why.
Yes.
This is, in summary, how I covered it. And sometimes auditors add comments to that as well, to give a bit of an evaluation of that specific item. It's about key items in the financial statements like goodwill or deferred tax or complex contracts, but it can be about a new IT system as well. So just what the auditor had communicated with the audit committee, a selection out of that, but then written it in such a way that it is really readable by a larger audience. That's the difference.
I get it. So the story of the auditor, the work and the findings is explained in a way, hopefully with much broader reach.
Much broader, and they tell the story themselves. What we learn is they're proud of doing so, because this is a very relevant profession, but not an easy one. And all of a sudden the public now can understand, okay, you dealt with that and you dealt with that. Oh, that's interesting. And it provides therefore a platform for further dialogue with shareholders and auditors, if they like, on an AGM or otherwise, in public comments. But also it intensifies the communications between an audit committee, management, the auditors, the users, and eventually regulators as well.
So if we're looking forward in the next few years and trying to capture the success of what you've introduced as a standard, what would that look like, or what would it feel like?
I congratulate you with the early birds that are there in Australia now as well, ahead of the official regulation. What you therefore see is, first of all, the audit opinion on top.
Yes.
People said, well, it's very important. It's not enough, but it's very important. So you first see the overall conclusion, the auditor opinion. And then typically you would see 5-6 pages of these key audit matters. And you also added further clarifications about the responsibilities of management and the auditors, also in the context of going concern, which is an important issue. And in relation to the so-called other information, auditors also have an obligation to read what is published together with the financial statements in the annual report. So much more transparency about the audit, but therefore also clarifying indirectly about the financial statements.
Okay, thank you. If I may take the opportunity now just to move away from that standard and looking forward to the audit profession and big issues. So what would you see as the next 1 or 2 priorities for your standard setting board?
Well, basically we have kind of 4 in 1. We have learned from all our consultation and outreach, including audit inspection findings, but also looking how the world is changing and business environments become more complex and new technologies, that we need to address 4 key topics that are in the heart of the quality of an audit.
Right.
So the 4 topics are quality control, group audits, professional skepticism, and financial institutions and fair value estimates. And what we hope to decide about in December is a so-called invitation to comment, which is a fairly lengthy consultation paper, asking many questions about the way forward, with in particular the topics quality control, group audits and professional skepticism. But there are of course many interlinkages, so it's one discussion paper. I said fairly lengthy because we will invite of course the regulators and the practitioners and the national standard setter to participate. But the good news is also that we will have a kind of an overview in only 20 pages for a group that you would not like to bother with the more technical stuff, but the more highlights. And that's for directors, audit committee members, investors. So we hope to engage in a global debate about these very important topics, setting the agenda for standard setting next year and on. And the fourth topic, ISA 540 on fair values and financial institutions. We already will agree, hopefully, to a project proposal specifically for enhanced standard setting in that area in our December meeting. And we are in intense dialogue with, in particular, the financial regulators here to also accommodate what they see as important. So a lot of new activity.
Very much.
About the heart of audit.
And the final question, Arnold, if I could ask, we get a lot of engagement at the moment from our practitioners and members around data analytics and what impact that will start to have within the audit profession, or it's already having impact. Do you see that as an area in your program, perhaps not next year, but coming, where greater investment will be need to be made?
Oh, for sure. We have an innovation group that is typically there to explore future issues, and they already identified a year ago this topic, of course. So we had some educational sessions in the board. We invited experts that really have a good understanding of these developments. We now have a specific working group that is further exploring this under the leadership of our board member Bob Dorer. And it's fascinating what might result from that. The examples that we see, just one, sampling. We are all educated, well, a sample is part of something.
Sure.
And in the future, sampling will be take the whole lot and then discover the patterns where there are deviations from what you may expect. And that might go through the whole track from starting an order until the payment at the end.
So this is quite challenging some of the fundamentals that I certainly grew up as a practitioner. And perhaps will allow us to close even greater expectation of what the auditor was able to touch and when they were able to do it.
Yeah, but the jury is still out there because we have seen these examples. If you have taken a whole lot in kind of sampling and then you find deviating patterns, the question, and what kind of a message is there? And what kind of work do you need to further? But it impacts on what we call analytical procedures, on sampling, on materiality, on understanding risks and internal controls. So I think it will have a large impact on how the audit of the future will be carried out. But before we up to, let's say, adapting our standards, we first need to understand. But I'm keen that at least the standards are not blocking innovation. And that's not what I'm hearing, that they do that. But you certainly can see that they were not written in a time which is fit to these new technologies.
Which is applicable to lots of rules and obligations we have. It's the speed of technology which is the challenge for all of us. Arnold, thank you very much for your time. Congratulations again to your leadership on the board and for producing really contemporary standards that will hold our profession in the light that it needs to be held in. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Lee. I may hope for a lot of feedback on these consultations. Everybody. Thank you.